Hi, everybody. My name is Taylor Belwomany, and I'm one of the clinical supervisors in our Entry to School program. Welcome to another edition of our Entry to School Parent Education webinars. Today, we're going to be talking about promoting social interaction and promoting play skills. Okay, so before we begin to discuss playing with our children and what that looks like, we really need to consider what we're actually doing together in their day-to-day lives. Learning happens all day long and with all of the different routines that we're doing with our children. So it's really important to find moments outside of play to have fun with them. We know that you don't have hours upon hours to play with your children. So what we're really going to look at is how to make our interactions more fun together for those activities that we have to do anyways. So there's a few different pieces to learning that we're going to talk about when we are really building these social interaction and play components. So first, we're going to look at social communication and language. Social communication and language can look like working on communicating with eye gaze. So your child shifting to look at your face to notice you, shifting to look at to orient their body when you call their name. It can also look like using different sounds, different gestures such as pointing, or using simple words to request for help or to request for an item. Then we have the social interaction component. So this is where we really look at building interactions with our children. We really want to have the child notice you, notice what's going on in their environment, sharing some smiles, some looks with you, and really trying to facilitate more of that social interaction component. And then we have our emotional regulation piece. This is a really important piece, especially with our little 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, because we really want them to learn regulation strategies and be able to be well regulated during our everyday activities. Because if they're not in a well regulated mind frame, they're not going to be in the mind frame to learn. Think about when you're really upset and you're stuck in traffic and your GPS is telling you different directions. And we're just so upset and dysregulated that we just don't have the capacity in the moment to even listen to another route to redirect us. Now think about your little 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. There's a lot of big feelings happening. And so if they're in that moment where they are really upset, they're crying, we're going to have a really difficult time getting their attention and being able to facilitate some learning and some teachable moments. So it's really important that we're working on that emotional regulation piece to help them to stay calm, to stay content, to stick in hard things for longer period of time, and to be well regulated during even difficult routines. So within our everyday activities, we really want to think about each specific activity that you do day to day and really start to think about how we can use those activities as the vessel to those learning components that we had just talked about. It's also really important to do these things and go through the motions with your children when we're talking about that play dynamic because children play and reenact what they know. So when we're bringing them through our day-to-day routines, such as a meal time together and your child is participating in dinner time or snack time, that's one thing that they're doing with their hands that later on, if they're doing some pretend play, they might try to feed the baby because they remember being at that mealtime with you and you feeding them or them feeding themselves. So the things that they're doing day to day are going to translate really nicely into their play. We also really want to consider the quality of our interaction versus the quantity and the quality of what they're giving us, what they're doing. We really want to make sure that your child is having meaningful interactions, meaningful communication, just as opposed to really having to spend hours with them. If it's not great quality of those hours, then let's just really focus on, half an hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes of playing, but really getting those meaningful and purposeful interactions and learning moments with your child. So when we are interacting with our children and we're going through these day-to-day routines, we really are considering these pieces to learning, I encourage you to kind of think about, what am I trying to teach here? What am I trying to get out of this routine? And some of those pieces that we really want to start thinking about is that interaction with the child. In order for your child to even learn from your interactions, we need to expect them to first pay attention to others. They have to notice you. They have to notice and watch what you're doing so that they can learn and observe from you. We also want to teach that using facial expressions. And we want to exaggerate our facial expressions and the things that we're doing so that they're able to use those as means of communication as well. Taking turns and engaging in a back and forth communicative exchange and social behavior. So once your child notices you, we really want to get that back and forth interaction. This is going to include that eye gaze. Your child may be reaching for you, reaching for your hand, adding in a gesture. So now having a little bit more of an exchange between yourself and your child. We're taking turns in what we're communicating with each other. Using and understanding gestures and language. So the more that you use your gestures, the more your child is noticing that, the more likely your child is to use those gestures later on as well. And when we're using our gestures with instructions, come here, come sit down, and we're pointing, your child is more likely to start to comprehend what those pieces of language mean because we have the symbolic gesture paired with the word. So this is going to help them to start to develop some of that comprehension of language. And that's a really key point when we are talking about communication. Your child needs to have the understanding piece first before they are really prepared to start using that back and forth communication. We also really want to look at showing and sharing our experiences together. So the more that your child is noticing you, the more that you're participating in these social interactions, they're noticing your gestures and your facial expressions, they're going to start to increase the ability to show and share ideas with you, such as a favorite song. So if you're doing a wheels on the bus together and they're noticing you, they're interacting with you, and then you go, maybe their idea is to do the doors on the bus next, or they do the mummies or the babies, and they're able to share what's happening next. Or perhaps you're coloring together and you're drawing, and your child is looking at you or pointing to a picture or holding it up because they want to share that with you. All of this practice is really going to set up those opportunities for interaction, play, and learning together. And it's really just going to help to support those learning opportunities for our children with ASD. So, what do we know? Well, research shows that children learn through interactions. They learn from other people. It's really important to engage children through these rich social interactions, not just playing, but the necessary routines as well. Those are the things that we have to do. Those are the caregiving activities, such as a diaper change, brushing teeth, the meals, the snacks, those day-to-day things that, they just have to occur in our life. While we have these routines, we can still create these contexts for language and learning. So we can do those peekaboos during diaper change. We can do, those tickles as we put our hands up to put a shirt on. We can still engage our children during these have to do moments of our day. The social interactions are going to provide that context for language and learning. So when we're doing toothbrushing, maybe we're going to add a favorite song. Maybe you're going to sing along together. We're going to brush at the same time. We're going to stop. We're going to brush. We're going to make it a game. There's going to be social interaction to these things that we have to do. We also really want to think about developmentally sensible routines. So we want to meet your child where they're at. We want to expect what is actually manageable for them. So when you're thinking about these routines and the expectations we're putting on our children, think about, is the child motivated? Do they really want to brush their teeth right now? Are they interested in it? And then think about, is the routine suited to the child's skills and abilities? Okay, well, does my child have maybe that comprehension piece or the gross motor skills to even turn the sink on? Or is that an unrealistic expectation for right now? And maybe I'm going to help them do that, but they can then put the toothbrush under the water. So we really, again, want to meet them where they're at because that's how they're going to thrive. We also really want to look at what we call social connectedness. So being socially connected with your child. We look at social orientation. So sharing the same space with your child. Watch our position, get down on their level, meet them where they're at so they can look at you, see your face, see your gestures. They can see your smiles and share those smiles with you too. We really want to think about that shared agenda. So participating with a common focus. So if we're playing blocks together, maybe mommy is building a tower and the child's joining in too. And now they're building a tower together and we're crashing. We don't want to see, mommy building a tower and the child filling a bin and dumping the bin out with the blocks. We don't want to have different agendas. We really want to have one common goal, an idea of what we're actually doing together in our interaction. And then we look at reciprocal interaction. So that means having more of that back and forth interaction and moment together. Your child is responding to you. They're maybe noticing you singing a song, and then maybe they join in, and then maybe you pause and they keep going. So it's a little bit more of a back and forth. You're seeing your child put in just as much effort in the interaction as you are. So joint action routines. This is something that we commonly use in our entry to school classrooms. A short form for this that sometimes you might hear them is JARS. But a joint action routine is an activity that really is organized around that joint focus that we just talked about. It really incorporates key features that contribute to the learning and development of communication. So we have the joint focus or a meaningful purpose. This is where, again, we want to have that shared goal. This way, we can have shared attention through each other. I know what mommy's doing, mommy knows what I'm doing. This is what we're doing together. We also want to make sure when we're planning out these activities and routines together that they're predictable. There's a clear beginning, a clear middle, and a clear ending. For play routines, this can be difficult sometimes because if we're thinking about pretend play like a baby doll activity or a race car routine, there's not always an appropriate sequence of steps because it is more open-ended. For example, in a hand washing routine, it's very predictable. We turn the water on, we put our hands under the water, we rinse them, we get soap, we turn the water off, we dry them. We do it typically the same way every single time. When we're looking at these pretend play routines, it might not occur that way because there's not a right or a wrong way or one way to play. So what we really want to do is look at how can we make this more predictable for our children as they're starting off. So think about a few steps that we want to start sequencing together. So maybe we get the baby doll and we wash her, we give her a bath, we put her jammies on, we give her a bottle, we put her in bed, we say goodnight. And that's the way we're going to practice that routine every single time. We really want to have that clear opening. We're letting them know what's happening. Oftentimes with our little ones, they are moved around so much, they're picked up, and it can be really dysregulating for them. So let them know. Show them where they're going. Show them what they're doing. Wash hands. Come to the bathroom. We're going to wash. Then, as I mentioned, have that structured middle so you know what's happening, what you want to expect. And then we're going to tighten up that end because we don't want our children to just walk away from us during a routine. If we're not finished washing our hands yet and your child just leaves the bathroom, we don't want them to practice leaving. We want them to practice having those good endings, especially when it does come time for them to go to school. They can't just walk away from circle time. They can't just walk away from playtime. We have to either say all done, use a little bit of a gesture, or clean up our area. Even if it's just one thing and it's just putting one block away to indicate that they're finished, that's a great starting point. We just want to make sure that there is something that is indicating that the routine is complete. We also want to establish what we call clear roles. We want your child to be productive, to be an active participant in what we're doing. And when we're thinking about these jobs that we want them to participate in, this is when we can come back to that developmentally sensible component. What is realistic for them? So think about during that hand washing. Well, if they're too tiny to reach for the tap, maybe that's not a great option for them. But maybe they're going to rub their hands all by themselves. Maybe they can reach for the towel. Maybe during the baby doll routine, they are giving the baby doll a kiss. So think about, what do we want to expect from them? Because the more they participate, the more they're actively learning because their little hands are busy and they can be engaged in the routine. And then we look at repetition and flexibility. So natural opportunities to be practiced. And when we're talking about these everyday routines that we have to do, we're going to get lots of practice because we wash our hands more than once a day. We usually brush our teeth more than once a day. We get dressed into pajamas and to clothes. If you're doing diaper change, there's lots of diaper changes throughout the day. So there's naturally going to be a lot of repetition. This is where you want to be consistent with your expectations. So your child starts to know, every time I do a diaper change, it's my job to put the diaper in the garbage. That way they know where their body needs to be. As soon as you say diaper time, they go, oh, I know that happens in the washroom, and they can run to the washroom. We also, though, do, on the other hand, want to work on flexibility. Because sometimes our kiddos with ASD can have a little bit of those restricted interests and can have some repetitive tendencies, we want to make sure that they're able to shift flexibly. We want to make sure that they are able to carry on if there are day-to-day changes or routine changes, because that's going to happen in school. There's going to be a substitute teacher. There might be a substitute EA. There might be a PA day, a field trip, an indoor recess. There are things that are just uncontrollable in our everyday lives. And we can all be a little bit rigid when it comes to change, but it's important that we're able to be regulated and move on with our day and not let it ruin our day. So the same thing with our activities that we're doing at home. If your child's always drinking from the blue cup, but the blue cup is lost or in the dishwasher, we want them to be flexible. It's okay. Today I can have my favorite juice in the red cup. So we want to work on variations of routines. Oh, maybe the toothbrush is missing. Where did we put the toothbrush? What do I do now? I have to go look for it. Maybe it's in mommy and daddy's bathroom. So we want to make sure that after the routine is established and repetitive and your child knows their roles in it, we are embedding a little bit more of those opportunities for your child to have to be flexible. So how do we play together? The routines that you are engaging in with your child in your home provide that framework for learning, for building that communication and social interaction skills. When your children are highly interested in something, they're really motivated to get that item or repeat your interaction. So when we're thinking about becoming a play or social partner, we want to think about your child's motivation and your child's interest. So if your child is really interested in songs and they really want you to sing, they're more likely to gravitate towards you if you're playing a game and you're singing a song first. If you're not following their interest, then they're more likely to just be alone and maybe they're singing or humming a tune to themselves. And in order for your child to learn from people, their attention and their interest has to be on people. As I mentioned before, one of the first things is they have to notice you. You have to be watching, to observing, to learn from you. So once you identify your child's interests, draw your child's attention to yourself. Let them see your face, your body, your actions and movements. This way, we're going to practice capturing their attention and establishing yourself as the spotlight. This is really important because sometimes children with ASD can be very object focused. And you might have noticed that at home. If your child is into cars, for example, you might find you have to compete really difficult to get that attention from your kiddo. They might always be looking at their cars, or kind of half listening as they have those cars and they're rolling it, they're spinning the tires, and you might find yourself really having to get on their level and trying to have these big gestures and affects to get their attention. So we really want to be that spotlight, not the car. Mommy or daddy or the teachers are the spotlight. That's what we're watching. That's what we're paying attention to. It's more valuable to be with the other people than just having this object by myself. We also want to start using environmental cues, sounds, words, and actions so your child knows what to anticipate. When they can start to know what to anticipate, they can be more readily involved in our interactions. So thinking about if you're doing tickle, 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 pause, tickle, 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 pause. When we create that back and forth with those sounds and those movements, it's more likely that your child is going to predict that the tickles are coming up next. And maybe you'll hear them try to say tickles, or maybe they'll grab your hands. We also want to have clear expectations and participation guidelines. So let your child know what you want to see from them. Let them know, give them instructions, show them. Oh, come play with mama. Or let's rub our hands together, rub, 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 rub. Give them some countdowns. We're going to do 3, 2, 1, all done. So sometimes we just have to let them know what those expectations are as well. Then we want to establish a shared focus in the routine. We want to have fun together. That's the goal. That's what we really want. We want your child to have fun with you, and we want you to be able to have fun and share in that with them. Another thing that we will talk about is being helpful. So we call this the helper role. Give items, don't just take. So a lot of times we notice that as adults approach a child who's playing, they might turn their back. They might be a little bit more protective of some of those toys. And really, if you think about it, that could be because as adults, we're often going over to a child to clean up and tell them what we're going to do next. Clean up the toys, we're going to go have bath time. Okay, put the toys away, we got to go in the car. So often we get a little bit paired and they go, oh no, every time mommy or daddy are going to come, or every time my teacher's going to come over, they're just going to take away my good things and I'm going to have to do something else. So we want to flip the script a little bit on them, and we want to be helpful. We want to be the good giver of good things. So we want to think about if there are a variety of blocks that they're playing with, maybe instead of dumping out all of the bin or them having the whole bin, you have the bin. You just give it to them. There you go. You want the pink one, you want the blue one, you want the orange one, and they might start going, oh, this is pretty cool. Mommy and daddy are giving me things. Think about those routines that they can't do by themselves, maybe like blowing bubbles or tickles. You're giving them all the tickles. You're giving all those bubbles. You're the helper for those routines. This is also going to really help to increase those approaches. They're more likely to approach you if you're interesting, you're motivating, you're giving them good things. They're more likely to have fun with you. So you're seeing those smiles, you're sharing them together. And as I mentioned, you might see less of that turning their body away to shield themselves or shield them toys because they want to start sharing some space with you. And once you start seeing those components come together, that's when you've established yourself as that social partner. So first, how do I start? Where do I begin? Well, first off, as I mentioned, we really need to look at how to increase your child's attention to you. How are we going to do that? First, find your child's attentional spotlight. So think about it. What is interesting to them? What is motivating? What do they gravitate towards in your toy room in the house? And then we really want to think about where you can join in from there. So take a position in the spotlight. Watch your position and get down on their level. Let them see you. Let them see you're noticing, you're interested. Be face to face. It's a lot easier for them to just look up at you or to look directly at you versus having to turn their body to the side to see you or to look up to share some of those smiles or those glances. Stay in the comfort zone. So really ensure that we're getting connected as that social partner. We don't want to be, placing a bunch of instructions on them. Do this, do that, do it mommy's way. That's not what we're doing. We really want to ensure that we are first seeing those smiles, those approaches, those reaches, before we're moving on to anything else. And we want to make sure that they're as comfortable as possible. So as opposed to coming in and saying, we're going to do it mommy's way, we're going to play with Mr. Potato Head because I want to, again, really think about what can I do in what they're interested in to steal the spotlight a little bit. Use active listening, narrating, helping, and imitation. So as your child is playing and you start to join them, instead of asking questions, narrate, talk about what they're doing, follow their focus. So if your child is playing with a car, say, oh, car's going down, 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 down. Car's going up, beep, beep. Why we want to do this is because when we start asking a lot of questions, it can actually seem like a lot of work for the child, and it might be a little bit disinteresting to them. Another thing is we want to model language. We want to model the things that they could be doing, things that they could be saying or hearing. So instead of saying, what color is your car? Where's your car going? How many wheels does your car have? They're not really learning from those language opportunities. But when we narrate and we give them these simple phrases, words, or sounds, they're more likely to learn and repeat those phrases and develop a little bit more of that language comprehension piece. Again, we really want to be helping them, make it easier for them. If they're building blocks and it's wobbly, hold it for them. And then imitation. So copy what they're doing. See what it is that's so interesting about, spinning the car tires. Join in so that they can see, okay, mommy's doing things that I'm doing. She's not just coming in and trying to change everything. Use fun sounds. So as I mentioned, looking at that car routine again, use the beep beeps, the crash. Oh no. Again, we want to be able to model these sounds for them that they could be using during their play routines. It's also going to help them to notice you. Oh, mommy's really fun. She's adding a new sound I've never heard before. That's cool. I want to play with her. And then try new creative ways with your child. So do they shift their attention? Again, as I mentioned, how children with ASD typically have those really repetitive and restricted interests. Maybe your child loves those cars, but only spins the wheels. So show them something else they can do with it. Get the car and start driving up their body, on their head, down their arms. Do they notice? Do they look? Do they start following along? Do they even do it back to you? We really want to start showing them new ways to play because, again, that's how you're going to capture their motivation and interest. Follow what they're interested in and then show them really new fun things to do with that as well. Then what? So where do we go from here? So after we start to get your child's attention, now we want to increase your child's attention to others and share in that lead. So go with the smile, the look, the approach. This is really what we're looking for with them. We are going to smile, use our faces, our big affect. Wait for their smile. Wait for them to look at you. Wait for them to approach you. So we want to join in on them, but also we want them to have a little bit of that lead too, and then we can share in with it. So if you're blowing bubbles, then let them approach you to see if they want to do it again. Use affect, sounds, and voices. So oftentimes this can be really difficult for adults, especially during play routines. Oftentimes we'll have a lot of families say, I feel so silly when I'm playing and I don't know how to play because it's been so long. And we totally get that. So sometimes it's a little bit out of our comfort zone, but the more that we're using big affect, big sounds, big gestures, the more likely your child is to notice you, to have fun with you. Kids love silly things. Kids love those goofy noises and goofy sounds, and maybe they'll start using them too. Give opportunity to share in your experience. So wait, let your child do something. If you're playing blocks together and you're building blocks, just wait, see what they want to do next. Do they just go in and crash it? Do they have a new idea? So give them some time too, to also, again, share that lead and take that role. Vary the routines. Don't do it the same way every single time. Maybe one time we are putting the car up and down, and then maybe the next time we're doing a race, 3, 2, 1, go. Think about how can we do things differently. Again, the purpose for this is because we want to have your child to be able to be flexible, to shift, but also we want to show them new fun ways to do things. If your child is always playing with Play-Doh and is always making letters out of it because they love letters, what else can we do with it? Can we make an ice cream cone? Maybe we're feeding it to the baby doll. Maybe we're making snowmen together. Maybe we're getting little toy animals and we're making footprints or hiding them in the Play-Doh. So try to be as creative as possible and try to vary these different routines. Then we want to pause often and wait for their cue. What this looks like is once we have a nice routine going with your child, we want to pause and wait. We want to see a little bit more interest from them. We want to see a little bit of a communication, a look, a glance, a smile. We want to see a little bit more of that anticipatory behavior. So if we are building blocks together and, mommy puts one on, the kid puts one on, mommy puts one on, the child puts one on, and I don't put one on, well, then what? Will they put the block back on? Will they hand it to me? Will they look and go, what are you doing? Why are you not putting one on? It's your turn. So the more that we can pause and wait once we have a nice back and forth going, the more opportunities it gives your child to communicate and to anticipate a little bit of that behavior. And then we want to elaborate, give more, do something your child can't do without you. For example, giving them tickles. You can't tickle yourself. So give them tickles. Pause and wait, give them tickles. If you wait, what will they do next? Also thinking about routines such as bubbles. If your child can't blow bubbles, that's a great one you can do for them. Thinking about putting them on a big yoga ball and bouncing them or throwing them up in the air. Think about the things that your child needs you for, because that's an easy way to get their spotlight. I need daddy to throw me up in the air. So I'm going to go to daddy. I'm going to look. I'm going to put my arms up. We're going to have some smiles. Maybe I'm going to, count down 3, 2, 1 again. So really try to think about those interests and motivations from your child and what you can do to really elaborate on those routines. And then we have what we call communication temptations. If you've participated in some of our other webinars, this might sound familiar for you. This is where we really want to set up opportunities for your child to communicate. So we want to practice some of these strategies around our home. Some of these reasons to communicate could look like providing choices. So even if your child is always wanting the blue cup, give them that choice. Blue cup or red cup today, because it's just one more opportunity that they have to practice the reach, the word, the sound, the look. Another thing that we can practice together is putting things out of reach. We have little kiddos. So if we have their favorite snack up high, how are they going to share with us that they want it? Or put it in a box that they can't unlock by themselves. They need your help. We also can do pausing and waiting during some of our fill-ins, our songs. So if we're singing Old MacDonald had a, can they fill it in for us? Can they make a sound? Can they indicate to us that they want to participate? So again, really just thinking about different things in our day-to-day life and at home that we can set up and contrive a little bit to give your child reason to communicate with you. All right, so now let's put it all together. How do we really make this happen? So follow your child's lead and motivation. If your child likes movement, use that to your advantage. Do a horsey ride, a piggyback ride, some tickles, a chase game. Bounce on a large ball during playtime. Predictability. Keep your routines predictable for your child. As I mentioned, have that clear beginning, middle, and end. It could be that simple, all done. It could be a little gesture or putting one toy away. But again, remember during these routines, and especially our play routines, we want to indicate to your child, we are all done from this one and we're moving on. That attentional focus. So this is, as I mentioned before, talking about that narrating, the fun sounds, the fun noises. We're adding language and words to what your child is doing in that moment. So if your child is playing Play-Doh, we're adding that language. Oh, sticky, sticky Play-Doh, soft, squishy. If your child is eating the apple, what can we add to that language? Crunch, sweet, sour, yummy. So again, we're modeling some of those sounds and words for them. Pause in. So as I talked about, pause and wait for your child to take a role, to communicate. Sometimes it can be really difficult to slow down routines in our day-to-day life, especially when we're going off to school, we're having to get into the car. But when you do find those moments that are slower, maybe on a weekend, and we're not quite in a rush, slow down your routine. Pause and wait. If you put one sock on, will your child put the other? If you put their pants in, will they pull them up? If you stand them in front of the water, will they look at you and ask for help or reach to it themselves? So give and respond to bids. So when you pause, your child might just look at you. They might reach, they might vocalize. Give your child that opportunity to send a message back to you. And then, as I mentioned, model that language, sounds, gestures. We really want to have them to be able to see all of the great things that they could be doing. Children love those sounds and gestures. They love the big affect, the silliness of it. And that's what's going to have them noticing you. So during those bubble routines, really blow, over exaggerate, have them join in with you as well. During some of those tickle routines, really make some silly noises. Or as we're rolling the ball, say roll, roll, bounce, bounce. So again, we're really being silly. We're following their motivation. We're modeling for them. We're adding that predictability, and we're pausing and waiting to have them do a communicative gesture, word, or response to our bids. Okay, so we're just going to go over some example of what it could look like to break down some of those common play routines. So when looking at books together, one of the things I always encourage parents is it's not about the story itself. It's not about the words on the page. And oftentimes parents really do want their children to learn these academics and their letters, which is great. But when we're talking about the quality of the interaction and the social interaction component, we're looking for that back and forth. We're looking for a moment with you. So when we do our book sharing, what can we do to create a social moment? Can we do fun sound effects if we see animals on the page? If we have a picture of a house, can we pretend to knock on the door? Maybe there's some pictures of flowers and I'm smelling, then I'm passing it to the child. Will they copy? Will they notice? Will they point? So again, this is where we're looking about that quality of the interaction. We're not just labeling flower, dog, we're adding more experience to it. Maybe there's a picture of the bunny and bunny, so soft, hop, 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 let's hop like bunnies. And we're actually creating a meaningful moment. First, I'm just reading and you could kind of look at the book by yourself. Mommy doesn't really need to be there. When we are looking at that book sharing routine, let's talk about that predictability piece, the opening of it. The opening could be showing them a book, telling them story time. Maybe we're giving them choices to promote some of the communication. Which one do you want to read? Figuring out some of their interest. That's when we're going to start to model some of the fun words, some of the gestures, the big affect. Also, mind your positioning. Where's your child going to sit? Where are you going to sit? Or can we be on the same level? Can we be face to face in the book in between us? Then when it's all done, let them know. Bye-bye book, go put it back on the shelf so they know where it always is. When we're looking at hide and seek, this is also can be a little bit more of a sophisticated game, but let's break it down so there's a little bit more simplicity to it and how to establish a routine like this. What we can start doing to begin with is peekaboo. That's a developmentally appropriate game that you might already be playing with your kiddo. So we can do our peekaboo with our hands. We can add a little bit of a tickle in the peekaboo sequence there. Once your child is motivated and knows the routine, add in a blanket. Maybe you're holding the blanket up and then you're doing a peekaboo and you're dropping it. Then you're putting it over your child and you're dropping it. You're just adding one more component. Remember, we're varying our routines. We're adding on and elaborating to it. Then we can look at increasing the distance. Maybe mommy's on one side of the room, the child's on the other side. We have the blanket, we're dropping the blanket. Maybe the child will approach you from all the way to the other side of the room to put the blanket back up. Maybe they'll giggle with you. Maybe if you say pika, they'll say boo, they're filling it in. And then we can start counting. 1, 2, 3, peekaboo. And that's how we can start taking that next step to hiding behind objects. We're counting 1, 2, 3, we're doing some peekaboo behind the couch and eventually transition that into a hide and seek. Again, looking at what's that opening? Let's play peekaboo with mama, maybe showing them the blanket so that they see what they're doing. That ending could be, okay, we're all done. Now let's move on, come on. So again, we don't have to have that complicated ending, but all done peekaboo, next time. And now thinking about that bubbles routine. So hold up the bubbles, show them, let them know what they're doing. If you're going outside with bubbles, have them carry it, give them a little bit of a job. We can also have them help you to open it, which is a great opportunity to promote communication, especially if they can't open it or it's sticky. That's where you can really be turning the lid, make those sounds. Oh, sticky, so sticky. Have them hear, watch you, notice. Then we're going to continue to blow the bubbles together. Create a predictable routine. 1, 2, 3, blow. 1, 2, 3, blow. If you pause and wait, what happens? Will your child initiate? Will they approach you? Will they reach for the bubbles? Will they hold up their fingers or say blow? When bubbles are all done, again, you can put the stick back in, help mama close the lid. There we go. Go help daddy put it back on the shelf. Bye-bye bubbles, all done. And this is one of those routines, again, that doesn't necessarily have the predictability embedded into it. So we can do it a few different ways. As I mentioned, do the 1, 2, 3 blow. And that can be predictable if you're practicing it over and over. But then we can change it up. Let's pop with our fingers, pop, 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 pop. Now maybe we're gonna clap to get them, clap, clap, or stomp on them. So we can embed a variety of different things with it. But really what we want to emphasize are all of those components that we had talked about. The motivation, interest, share the spotlight, predictability, modeling, have this big affect and fun. But at the end of the day, we really want you to watch your child, to observe, see what they are interested in, what they are motivated by. And that's going to be the first step for you to join in and have them notice you. Like I mentioned, play can be really tricky for adults, and it doesn't always seem the most natural. But hopefully with these strategies and breaking down the routines, we're able to create some really rich social learning opportunities for your little ones. So a little bit of a moment here that I would like you to reflect on is, what social behaviors can you expect from your child? So think about some routines that you want to practice. Maybe it's some play routines, bubbles, tickles, songs together. What would you want to expect from them? Would you want to expect seeing some more smiles? Maybe looking at you when you start singing, noticing you? Maybe you want them to start turning some more pages in a book, maybe pointing to some pictures to share and to show with you. Or maybe you're really focusing on those have to do activities. How can you create social interactions in those? Are we singing songs during hand washing? Are we making silly faces during brushing teeth, watching each other, copying each other's faces? Or are we doing some tickles during diaper change? Really start thinking about how our day-to-day interactions can become those fun learning moments. And with that, I encourage you to practice these tools and strategies at home. If you do have any questions, please contact your clinical supervisor so they can support you through this. I hope that you gain some knowledge and strategies to how to support some social interaction and play in your home. Thank you so much for watching, and please check out our next parent education webinars.